Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to our webinar today on the virtual proficiency badge instructions. I know we are delayed by a day. This is due to the technical reasons we are delayed with this webinar. However, we are not late. While we allow our friends, colleagues, and other brother scouts and guides to come in, today we will be talking about a proficiency badge called as Public Health for Guides and Public Health Demand for the Scouts. This is a very important proficiency badge as on date when we look at today's scenario, what we are in, that is the COVID-19 pandemic. To present this proficiency badge, we have Amulya Bhatt, who I'm going to introduce in the next few minutes time. As we have 365 participants already in, I think it's time for us to start and go live. On this occasion, I welcome our State Chief Commissioner, Shri PGR Singha sir, who is going to talk to you all at the end of the webinar. And I also welcome our State Commissioner Scout, Shri N.A. Khalid sir, who is going to begin the proceedings. Khalid sir, over to you.
A very lucky bunch of scouts and guides. I call them lucky because this is the only movement or organization in the world which has the badge system. This badge system prepares you to face the practical realities when we face the practical world. And today, rightly, we have taken up the public health, which is the need of the hour, especially as we are in the midst of a very deadly pandemic, Corona. You know, what are these badges? Mostly we have outdoor badges as well as badges which are educative. As I said, as Madhu has said, this badge is very important because of the pandemic we are facing. I always say that we should earn the badge, not acquire the badge. There's a difference between earning and acquiring. Earning is we toil for it. We understand the subject which is given to us. Either we go practical training, we prepare notes, and when we do it with a sincere purpose, we tend to remember for long, and this is going to help us. And you know what is public health? You should know I think Amulya is going to give you a brief. Basically, what are the steps taken by individual health authorities, plan program for public awareness, immunization, immunity, water safe to drink, clean surroundings, and perhaps the main, I suppose, perhaps Amulya will be dealing mainly with Corona because that is the need of the hour. With this few words, we should thank our State Chief Commissioner, Mr. PGR Sindhya and Mr. Madhusudan, our youth leader who has taken the lead in getting this badge system in this hour of need. I'm sure each one of you will definitely make proper use and benefit from this badge system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. While we go ahead to the next part of it, my dear scouts, guides, rovers, rangers, and all the guests who are here with us, if you have any question, you can always go and you can ask the question in the Q&A button. What we have, you can press on the Q&A button and ask a question. And we have a chat box in case while the speaker is speaking and you want to answer the speaker, you can put your answers on the chat box. Also on the chat box, you can introduce yourself by telling what is your name and from which part of the state you come or which part of the country you come. You can put it on your chat box. You can type your name and the state and district so we know where you are coming from. Name and your place from where you're coming from. I will not take much time and let me introduce Amulya. Amulya, can you come on screen?
Yes, sir.
So we have Amulya, and she will be the one who is going to talk to you about this proficiency badge. I would let her to introduce the name of the badge and start the proceedings. Over to you, Amulya. I'm just getting your slides on the screen, and you can begin the proceedings. Yeah. Yes, Amulya.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. I am Amulya Bhatt from Swargarani Guide Company. So today I'll be explaining about one of the most important badges of Raja Puraskar, which is Public Health or Public Health Man Badge, as stated in APRO Part 3 and APRO Part 2, respectively. So, health refers to the physical, mental, and social well being of a person. The health of the entire country or of the citizens of a country or of a locality is important for the overall development of the country and is known as public health. So, next. So, disease is a deviation from the normal functioning of the body or from the normal healthy person. Diseases are of two types. One is the communicable disease, and the other one is the non communicable disease. Communicable diseases are the ones that spread from an infected person to a healthy person. Non communicable diseases are the ones which do not spread from a healthy person to a which do not spread from an infected person to a healthy person. So, communicable diseases have various examples like diphtheria, measles, smallpox, whooping cough, etc. And one of the common one these days is the coronavirus or COVID-19, which is again a communicable disease and spreads through droplet infection. This batch has four requirements. The first one, know the modes of transmission of the following communicable diseases: diphtheria, measles, whooping cough, smallpox, plague, scabies, typhoid, diarrhea, tuberculosis, mumps, chickenpox, malaria, ringworm, cholera, and dysentery. Know the measures adopted by the sanitary authorities to prevent the spread of the diseases and steps taken by individuals. So there is the authority which is known as sanitary authority, which takes care that these diseases do not spread in a community level and does not infect a large number of people. When it is a communicable disease, it is the responsibility of each and every individual to take preventive measures. So now we'll see the mode of transmission of these diseases and how it is prevented. So next. So there are mainly 15 diseases to which I will add one and make it 16. So the first one is diphtheria. Diphtheria spreads through respiratory droplets. Respiratory droplets are the ones that are released when an infected person coughs or sneezes. The preventive measure is vaccination, which is called DPT or diphtheria pertussis tetanus. It is given in 3 doses at the age of 12 to 23 months, 4 to 7 years, and 9 to 15 years. The second one is tuberculosis. It also spreads through droplet infection or through air. The preventive measure is the vaccination BCG, also called Bacillus of Calamity Guerin. It's given within a few days of birth or within 6 months. The third disease is measles. Measles also spreads through droplet infection. The vaccination which is given is MMR, which is measles, mumps, and rubella. It is given at the age of 9 months. The fourth one is mumps. Same as measles, it also spreads through droplet infection and with contact with infected person. The same preventive measure is taken, that is the vaccination MMR given at the age of 9 months. So next. The fifth one is whooping cough. It also spreads through droplet infection and the vaccination given is DPT which stands for diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, given at 3 doses at the age of 12 to 23 months, 4 to 7 years, and 9 to 15 years. The sixth one is chickenpox, which spreads through close contact with infected person. The vaccination given is varicella and given at the age of 12 to 16 months. So you may know that chickenpox, once we get chickenpox, we may not get it again in our lifetime. So that is one of the fact about chickenpox. The seventh one is smallpox. You all may know that smallpox has been eradicated from the world and therefore there is no other preventive measures. It is eradication through intensive vaccination given by different parts of the country. Eighth one is malaria. Malaria spreads through the bite of female Anopheles mosquito, which carries pathogens. The preventive measures, as you all may know, is using mosquito repellents, using mosquito net, and keeping our surroundings clean and preventing damp areas so that the mosquitoes don't breed and increase in numbers. So next. The ninth one is plague. Plague was one of a pandemic in 1920s, just like coronavirus or COVID-19 in the present times. So plague used to spread through rats and fleas, and the preventive measure is eliminating fleas and rats by taking extensive pest control measures and by using insecticides. Plague has also decreased in number in present days. The tenth one is ringworm. Ringworm spreads through soil or contact with infected person. To prevent ringworm, we need to always keep our skin clean and dry, wear socks while going out, not to walk in barefoot, and cut our nails regularly so none of the infected soil gets into our nails, which we may consume. The 11th one is scabies. Scabies spreads through contact with infected person. The preventive measure is to avoid skin-to-skin contact with infected person and not to share cloths or towels with infected person. The 12th one is cholera. Cholera also spreads through contaminated food and water. You may know that cholera, there were 4 cases of cholera that was reported in Bangalore a month ago. The preventive measure is to drink boiled water, to wash our hands with soap before eating, and to avoid uncovered food so that the pathogens do not spread into our body. So next. The 13th one is typhoid. So typhoid spreads through contaminated food and water. The preventive measures that is taken is to wash our hands and avoid eating raw fruits and vegetables and boiling it before we consume, and to avoid drinking untreated water and to prefer boiled or purified water. The 14th one is dysentery. Dysentery also spreads through contaminated food and water and has the same preventive measures as typhoid and cholera. The 15th one is diarrhea. It spreads to contaminated food and water and also with contact with infected soil and utensils or through flies which sit on contaminated food and water and spread it to other food also. The preventive measure is to drink only purified or boiled water, to have improved sanitation, and to wash our hands properly before eating. Now, the 16th one can be coronavirus or COVID 19. So, I guess most of you may know the mode of transmission. Can someone tell me what is the mode of transmission for coronavirus? So,
Yes, there's
it
somebody
spreads through
answering. It
droplet
comes from
infection.
droplets.
It also spreads through droplet infections or through air, because when a person sneezes or coughs, there is the virus comes into the air and it spreads in the same way. The preventive measures that we can take would be wearing mask when we go out, maintaining social distance, and using sanitizers time and again, and not to touch the railings or other common areas where many people might have touched, and never to touch our nose, mouth, and eyes regularly, and to wash our hands before we consume any sort of food. So next.
Yes, thank you, Amulya. While we go to the next slide, friends, do you all remember if you have taken a vaccination? If you have taken a vaccination, you can just type yes in the chat box or no in the chat box. While you prepare your logbooks, while you prepare to achieve this public health badge, this is very important for you all to understand what exactly is happening, because this is very simple and we are into public health right from the beginning, right from the day we are knowledgeable. Today's pandemic, what we are talking is mostly related to very simple things what we can do. and you can further do a lot of research and see what happens. And you should not be surprised in the coming days if we are all asked to go and take a vaccination for COVID-19. With this note, let me move on to the next slide and over to you, Amulya.
So the second requirement of this badge is to know the importation of the diseases from abroad and how it is guarded against with special reference to immigrants and animals. Indian government has been taking extensive measures to prevent all the diseases to enter from foreign countries or from abroad through immigrants. Like in the present situation, when there was flights from abroad to India, India used to take a lot of preventive measures. Like there used to be temperature screening, which is regular checking of the temperature of whoever enters from foreign countries into India, and a compulsory quarantine of 14 days was asked, and there would be sometimes there would be testing of COVID-19 as well. In the same way for other diseases also it was being taken till now. So next. So you may know that India imports some of the animals from abroad, maybe some breeds of dogs, bats, monkeys, and many other mammals. So to prevent the entry of diseases through these animals, there were steps that were taken, like banning of some animals from import, which may carry highly contagious diseases, testing of diseases, and proper regular checkups, and reducing the import of animals from foreign countries. Like there was a ban of bats and monkeys being imported, and a compulsory quarantine of 1 week to 1 month of time was given to some of the monkeys from different regions. And there used to be notifications or regular health checkups or health certificate for some of the birds and terrestrial mammals. So next. So, the third requirement is to describe one or more methods of disinfecting a house and also eradicating the commoner insect pests such as bugs, mosquitoes, flies from house and camps. So, when we saw through the communicable diseases and how it spreads, we saw that some of the diseases spreads through mosquitoes, rats, fleas, etc. So, it is very much necessary to keep these pests out of our house, away from our house, so that we don't get the diseases. Like when it comes to flies, it spreads cholera, typhoid, dysentery, etc. And mosquitoes causes malaria, dengue, and much more. And rats also cause plague and much more diseases. So some of the methods can be using pest control, where they use chemicals to kill these insects or bugs, and to seal up cracks or opening from which they may enter and cause the spread of diseases, and to maintain a clean environment, to clean up the kitchen and the house and prevent the damp areas where most of the insects breed. And we need to avoid having outside free debris or outside free foods in the house. So next. The fourth requirement is to describe the necessity and the mode employed in the locality of collecting, removing, and disposing house refuse and rubbish by pitting, trenching, and composting. Know all about camp sanitation with respect to kitchen, drinking water, and storage of food. So, can someone tell me into how many categories do we divide the waste in our house? So we mainly divide it into four categories. One is the wet waste, the second is the dry waste, the third is the biomedical waste, and the fourth one is the e-waste. E-waste have chemicals and may be dangerous to our health, and therefore we need to separate it. The medical or biomedical waste may carry pathogens and has to be separated. Wet waste or the biodegradable waste which degrade eventually with time, and dry waste are the ones which can be reused or recycled and in some times are directly put into landfills and can never be degraded. So we need to the collecting of garbage from our house is usually taken in garbage trucks or garbage vans, and they are disposed by segregating them into e-waste, chemical waste, paper, metal, plastic, etc. The metal is reused or recycled, and plastic in some cases and is also recycled. And also the biodegradable waste are put into landfills which get degraded eventually. So next slide.
While we move on to the next slide, friends, we have to understand garbage segregation is one of the very most important things we all have to follow. During this time of COVID-19, I would like to challenge you all. If you can start segregating waste at your home, you can just visit your kitchen and the place where you dump your garbage. And I'm challenging you all, if it is only one kind of garbage if you're collecting, you can segregate into three different types of garbage. I am not going to tell you what are the three different kind of garbage you need to segregate. It is your job to do the research. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ನಿಮಗೇನು ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಗಾರ್ಬೇಜ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೇಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ, by visiting the health department websites and start segregating waste from today. This is one of the challenge for you during the lockdown times. Amulya, over to you.
Yes, sir. So next slide. So this is how there is collection of waste in India. So they divide it into paper, metal, plastic, e-waste, glass, and organic, as I already mentioned. And it is collected through garbage trucks. And there is manual sorting, and some of the waste is recycled, and others are put into landfills, or the organic waste is degraded. So next slide. So the disposing of waste is done mainly by three methods. First one is the pitting, the second is the trenching, and the third is the composting. Pit is a way of disposing of household waste by burying it after it has been reduced or recycled as much as possible. So this method is used when we have recycled a particular thing many times and we know that it cannot be recycled anymore. In that case, a pit of around 10 to 20 meters is dug away from our house and equally away from the water resource so that it does not harm the water resource as well. And this and all the waste is put into that and is covered using soil or the same thing which was there in the place of pit. The second one is trenching. Trenching is the act of burying organic waste directly into the ground as an alternative method to traditional above ground composting. So, in case of trenching, it's mainly used for organic food or food waste. So, in that case, we dig a small pit which is about 10 to 12 centimeters and we put the food waste or organic waste into it and cover it with a thin layer of soil. After some days, it degrades and can be used as manure. This is better than the above ground composting, as above ground composting uh, can cause a lot of smell and it might stink, and also there might be bacterial or fungal growth which may be harmful to the family. The third one is composting. Composting is the biological decomposition of organic waste such as food or plant material by bacteria, fungi, worms, and other organisms under controlled aerobic conditions. So we might have seen vermicomposting, in which earthworms are used to compost the waste into manure. This manure is very rich in humus and can be used to grow healthy crops. So composting is nothing but the biological decomposition. It's same as trenching, but it's done above ground. We can do composting even in our house. We can just take the peels of vegetables, fruits, and other food waste, put it in a small tin, and cover it for some time. With after some days, it turns into manure. Around 1 to 2 months, if we let it like that, it turns into manure, and then it can be used for growing crops because it has high content of humus. So next, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amulya. Uh, how was this, friends? What did you? How do you rate this presentation from Amulya? Did you all like it? If you like it, if you have any comments about this presentation, you can just type it in your chat box so that we will get to know what best we can do in the coming days on this part. And if you have any questions to be asked about this proficiency badge, you are feel free and you can come and ask these questions on the chat box, or you can type your questions on the Q&A button, which will answer at the end of the session. Any questions on the Q&A button? Now let us move on to the next part of it. We have our state chief commissioner, and I would request Mr. PGR Sindhya sir to kindly uh, give his views and ideas about the current pandemic situation. Because the public health is not only a proficiency badge which scouts are having, sir, but this proficiency badge is very apt for today's needs. And words and blessings from you, sir.
Good evening, my dear young friends. I congratulate Mr. Madhusudan for conducting this webinar to the young mind of this country and particularly of Karnataka. I thank our international leader, Mr. M.A. Khalid, our State Commissioner of Scouts and Guides. I'm very happy that, webinars have been being conducted by Madhu and his young friends. This will definitely motivate many of the youngsters to earn more knowledge during this period of COVID lockdown. I think this is the best thing one can do. He has been doing it. Amulya, I congratulate you. You made an excellent presentation. You must have put in a lot of hard work for collecting all this material, which is very accurate. I compliment you and compliment your friends and your parents for doing this wonderful presentation. You have a bright future, and you yourself, you are interested in developing more knowledge in public health. You can build up a big career for this. India and the world is going to be in a lot of need for importance to the public health. They're very much essential.
Thank you, sir.
And as far as the badges are concerned, rightly our commissioner, Mr. M.A. Khalid, has said, this is scouting. This is scouts and guides. Through this badge system, which was evolved by Baden Powell, a wonderful education is being given to the young minds just to provocate them, put them in their mind, and now they will start thinking. As far as today's subject is concerned, you understand the importance of public health, particularly in the background of the coronavirus disease. You do not know actually how it comes, when it, in spite of our big scientific advancement, we have not been able to find out what is the vaccine and also to the medicine to the patients. This is the situation we have. Some of the diseases which were mentioned by Amulya, I have seen in my own life of 60, 70 years, I have seen many of these things in my lifetime, people suffering, and much of it are man-made. They are all man-made. It could be prevented. One alarming situation in this country and also in urban areas of this country and also in the rural areas, I've been observing. Our public health system is not that good. The delivery system is also not good, and the maintenance of health also is very, very bad. Because of this, we are getting all these diseases, which are, some of them are unforeseen. But we know these are all the root causes for that. And I am sure in the days to come, the society and the society's leaders, whether they are officers or bureaucrats or the public representatives or the governments, they have to give importance as they much, in India, there is a famous slogan, roti, kapada or makan. Roti, bread, kapada, cloth, and makan, house. Almost we have overcome that roti, kapada or makan ka problem. We have 90% of it we have overcome. But public health has not been given importance. In public health, awareness is very, very important. Instead of curing a disease, it is better to prevent a disease. So it is there, you people belonging to the young generation, you have a very major role. If you earn this badge, if you know this knowledge, then naturally you will prevent all these epidemics. It won't spread. Forget the pandemics. Pandemics is a very huge thing. It has come all over the world. Now, coming to the situation of COVID-19, my friends, I once again compliment Amulya and Mr. Madhusudan for conducting this webinar. Coming to the COVID-19 in Karnataka and also all over the country, I've been appealing to all my scout leaders, guide captains, scout masters, and the rovers and ranger leaders, especially, and young men, to share their knowledge on all this, conducting such webinars, wherein the young mind is provoked, young mind will think better than my generation. That is my experience also. My son thinks better, my grandson thinks definitely better. The grasp which they have got, I don't have that. So it is necessary. And I am sure during this COVID-19 period, you'll all stay home, stay safe, take care of yourself. Thank you, Madhu. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your inputs. Now I
Madhu,
would request Khalid sir to kindly give his input. Sir.
Yeah, I think our state chief has given an excellent brief. Nothing much is needed, but what I suggest is, while they are earning this badge, I request them to visit certain public authorities to understand the system they are working. Because as our chief rightly said, our minds become provocative. And we should give suggestions. As since you're preparing the badges, you should be able to give suggestions to improve the public health from your perspective after seeing the public authorities and individuals who are involved in this. And lastly, I request that credit should be given from the sources from where you have learned this public health in your logbook, so that we would know how much you have understood and what all the authorities you have visited. These are my observations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you everybody for being wonderful. There were a couple of questions and what you wanted to know. They have been already answered. All your questions are answered now. If you have further questions, you can type it. We'll be taking the questions for the next 4 minutes and we'll be done. One important message what I want to give you all is, anybody who wants to be a badge instructor, you're welcome. You can send us an email with the name of the badge, what you want to present. So we will have you here on the webinar. Our upcoming webinar on proficiency badges, we will be talking to you about efficiency cards. What are these efficiency cards? How they can be earned? What are the different color meaning? You'll get the information about it in the next webinar that is coming up. And you'll also have information and knowledge about world conservation. This is one of the prominent proficiency badges. These are the topics for our upcoming proficiency badges. You can reserve your time, you can reserve your slots. We'll be coming soon tomorrow, and we will be there. Once we get the slot for the next webinar, we are there with you. And I don't see any more questions coming from your way. And thank you very much for your participation. You can find all our webinars. If you further want to come, if somebody has missed it, you want to share it, it is available on Instagram. It is on the BSG Karnataka Instagram page. You can come and see that. And the videos are also available on BSG Karnataka YouTube channel and BSG NYF YouTube channels. Kindly visit us there. Thank you, Amulya. Thank you, Khalid sir. Thank you, Sitya sir. Thank you for this wonderful thing. While we are closing, there is 2 questions coming. I will definitely answer these questions by typing. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to everyone.